Found out today that the NFL is going to cut the preseason to 2 games. This was expected, right? But now it's official. So your reaction?
Yeah, I think I heard your reaction to it, and I would agree that it's the right move. I mean, you want to make sure you have protocols in place, and there's no need for unnecessary exposure to each other in terms of that. And so, and also, this is going to happen anyway when the regular season is extended. So, and you have no fans in the stands, so you're not forcing fans to have to buy a meaningless ticket. The only thing for me, and this is going to happen when it happens on a regular basis, is that it does cut down time for players to make the team, whether it's veterans, undrafted rookies, or even rookie draft picks or whatever. It does cut down the time that you have for those guys to make the team. And I would say this offseason, this is going to be the most challenging of any offseason, even more than the lockout of 2011 for an undrafted rookie, a lower draft pick, a one-year veteran signing, trying to hang on to a career to make a team, because I think these practices are going to be limited, and you haven't had the OTAs and minicamps to really even make an impression.
But I could argue that for a team like the Saints, which has so much stability already on its roster, that they're one of the rosters and the franchises that would be least impacted by what's transpiring. When you look at those roster spots, whenever they do get to camp, later this month, where do you think the biggest battles are going to be for roster spots?
I think the linebacker spot is going to be a curious thing. And look, my cohort at The Athletic, he covers the NFL for us, Shil Kapadia. He did a really in-depth, nerd guide, research, analytics data, and it showed that the Saints last year only played base defense 16% of the time. And that is a little lower than many other teams. The average, I think, is 30%, but still you're seeing that linebacker is almost kind of being, I'm not going to say phased out, you need them, but I still think that the Saints have one linebacker and they've got a question at their second linebacker. And I feel like all the pieces, whether it's Alex Anzalone, is Kiko Alonso healthy enough, Zach Bond, someone like Caden Ellis, where do they fit in? Because linebackers, you're not keeping as many as you used to be. In, say, maybe even the last 3 or 4 years, you're keeping fewer linebackers because you use them less.
What about Jadeveon Clowney?
That name is certainly a hot name, especially with the reports floating around the last, say, week or so. I think if there is a hired gun out there that the Saints want to go get, he would make sense. I'm curious to see if he would budge on a price tag. And when I say this, I think he would be a one-year hired gun, someone like Ndamukong Suh was for the Rams a couple of years ago. And with him, they got to the Super Bowl. And if you remember that, the Saints were way in on Suh. The Rams beat Suh out. So I'm sure the Saints are probably trying to keep a gauge in this situation and see what happens. They've got some money they can play with. But look, this would not be an indictment, I would say, and I know you brought it up earlier. You had a segment about Marcus Davenport. I don't think it would necessarily be an indictment on him, because you would have Davenport for 3 more years. He's only played 2. You had him under contract with the 5th-year option for 3 more years. This would not be an indictment on him. This is a 1 year, I'm going to go look for the Super Bowl and go get a hired gun type of thing, if they go that route.
Can they afford it?
They can afford and make moves to make anyone really affordable. But do you want a 1 year, $17 million cap number? No. Ndamukong Suh.
Do you think Clowney's going to get $17 million?
I think in his brain he thinks he is.
He's high if he thinks he's getting $17 million. There's no way there's a 2-team market for him. He's not getting $17 million for 1 year.
Well, he might be high. It's legal in a lot of countries to get high. So, states and countries, obviously. But people think of themselves with these high price tags. Look, Suh waited a while for his free agency, and he got more money than I thought. So, but if I'm the Saints, and that's the way they were with Sue, that's the way they were when they were really flirting with Jimmy Graham once again, they are not going to go over their ceiling for a veteran 1-year type of player. They're just not going to do that. And so they will have a ceiling if they're interested in that. And if they want to go, even if it's a couple of million above, they're not going to flex when it comes to that because they're already a good team. I mean, he would be a luxury item, not a necessity.
Okay, what would you be okay with them paying?
10.
Wait, say it again. Your phone broke up.
$10 million per
10,
year.
Yeah.
I'd go $10 million.
Do you think they're going to extend Kamara this offseason?
I doubt they will this offseason. I just feel like they wanted to play it out. They didn't extend Mark Ingram either time. So I feel like that last year, because of the question mark, I think he needs to play for this. And if I'm them, I would not. I would have him play for it. But then, say a franchise tag could come into play, this, that, and the other. So I don't think they should. I'm not going to say that they won't. I'll rephrase. I don't think they should. Now, if they would, I would kind of be like, well, I would think it would kind of be a little bit of a roll of the dice if you did.
It's interesting you brought up. It's interesting you brought up Mark Ingram because Ingram early in that rookie deal, Larry, never performed the way we've seen Kamara perform. I mean, this seems to me like a no-brainer that you'd extend this guy. It's got to be at the right price, but why would you want to battle a bidding war in free agency next year?
But if you go there and what if you fall off? I mean, we've seen running backs fall off. I mean, I think that's the position they're in, that if they really like him and if they don't have a number that they agree upon, he plays it out and then they franchise tag and then you see what happens. I mean, it's just it's the unfortunate part of being a running back. I mean, people can go, look, they got him in the third round. People get running backs all over the map. Like I did an all Saints 53-man roster, a franchise from 67 to 2019. They had 5 running backs taken, the 4 running backs taken in the top 5 picks overall, whether it's Chuck Muncie, Reggie Bush, George Rogers, and I'm blanking on the other one.
Deuce?
And none of them made – no, Deuce was in the top 20. Deuce made my roster.
Wait, what did you say? That you did? Sorry.
I did an all-time Saints 53-man roster.
Okay.
That ran, I think, last week. And I had 5 running backs, and the Saints have 4 running backs that were taken as top 5 picks in franchise history. One was Chuck Muncie, Reggie Bush,
George
Rogers, and I'm blanking on
Ricky
the
Williams.
one, but Ricky Williams, and none of them made my.
How could you forget Ricky Williams?
I know. I mean, maybe I'm high. I don't know. Maybe I'm just high.
I guarantee you, in this moment, Ricky Williams is high. Or, well, let me put it to you this way: on this calendar day, at some point, Ricky Williams will be high.
In like 5 minutes. 4:20.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, look at that.
See what I did?
Yeah, I see what you did there. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.